begins at uncertainty. It's what you do with it that's right your story. A very good morning to all present here, respected dignitaries, esteemed faculty members, and my ever curious, ever dreaming batch of 2025. I'm Mihu Bharadwaj, a proud student at the North Cap University, and it's my absolute honor to be your host for this masterclass. Now, let me be very clear. This is not your just another masterclass. Today, we are here not to simply nod and take notes. We are here to pause, reflect, and maybe even surprise ourselves as we explore what truly means to discover our strength. And guiding us through this journey is a leader who has done exactly that, time and again for himself, for his teams, and for the organizations across the globe. I'm talking about none other than Mr. Amit Sinha, Vice President and Global Head of Strategic Alliances at Tata Communications. From Cisco to HP, from HCL to Tata Communications, he has seamlessly led across sales, marketing, digital transformation, and alliances, with a rare ability to turn AI, ML, and MarTech into clear, relatable stories of business value. He has recognized as ET's most promising tech CMO of 2022, and as one of VAR's India's most influential CMO. His journey proves that discovering your strength is not just a personal growth, it's about inspiring teams, shaping organizations, and building lasting success. Joining him today in conversation is the Heads of Marketing and Admissions at the North Cap University, Mr. Chirag Talwar. Sir, it's an absolute honor to have you here with us today. Now, I would request Mr. Amit Sinha and Chirag sir to come on stage and take the conversation forward.
Working. Thanks, Roger. Mihu, thank you for the very warm welcome. Mr. Amit Sinha, thank you for joining us again.
Thank you for having me here. Good morning.
So this is one of our most exciting masterclasses, the last in the series. In fact, we actually kept the best for the last, if I can say that. I'd like to start with something, sir. We all hear of Tata every day in our lives. Tata Motors, Tata Vehicles, Tata Cars, Tata Namak, Tata Communication, Tata Steel. You've been with the Tata Group now for 15 years. Please first begin by telling us about the Tata Group. We keep hearing numbers and the numbers are all millions and billions. Please demystify the numbers for the benefit of our young audience. How large is the Tata Group?
That's an excellent question, and my journey or my association with the group actually goes back because my grandfather was with the group for over 40 years. So he was a single job. In those days, you never change your job. He was at Tata Steel from the time he started working and even after he retired. So I've been to the Tata Steel plant many times. And
so this was Jamshedpur,
yeah,
sir?
Jamshedpur, right. But to tell you about the overall group, it's more than 150 years old, as you know. 1868 was when it was founded. Over 1 million employees who operate in more than 100 countries with presence in more than 150 locations.
How many employees in India, sir?
That's a good question. I would say more than half of that would be in India, right? Because the single largest employer is TCS. They have close to about 6 lakh employees, right?
Wow.
And significant portion of those employees, again, are in India, as are the other groups. Companies. More than about $160 billion overall revenue, more than 100 companies, 29 of them registered, market cap of more than $360 billion and so on and so forth, right? So from that perspective, you mentioned about salt. So it's from salt to steel or software to steel, whichever way you want to look at it. And then more recently, forays into other areas like aviation, etc., which have come back to us, right? So
Correct. So
yeah,
Air India
that's the
now
group,
is
yes,
with the Tata
yes,
Group.
that's right.
And also is Land Rover Jaguar.
Yes,
And
that
which was
acquisition.
acquired by the Tata Group. We have Honorable Vice Chancellor, Professor Nupur Prakash. Ma'am, thank you for joining us.
Thank you for joining. So that's, in a nutshell, that's the organization.
Great. Ma'am, we started with Mr. Amit Sinha Roy telling us about how large the Tata Group was. As his first introduction, of course, has spoken about numbers. And rightly he says from Namak to now airline. I think Air India now
From salt
is
to steel and
from salt to
yeah,
steel.
software to wherever you want to go. Yeah.
Fantastic, sir. And about 6 lakh employees in India.
No, 6 lakh is only TCS.
Is only 6 lakh is only TCS. And you've been with Tata Communication now for 15 years.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Going to be 15, yeah.
Sir, tell us about your own journey. To a lot of pleasant surprise for our audience today. Sir started with physics himself at BITS Pilani. And for the last 20 years, 25 years of his life, he has led marketing and communication. So from physics, engineering to Marcom, how did this shift happen, sir? Tell us about your journey.
Okay. So honest, hand on heart, I went to do physics because I was a big fan of Carl Sagan, right? Astronomy, wanted to do astrophysics, and started off in that. And
So, just if you could just
Yeah.
put the mic a little closer.
so,
Thank you.
Yeah, so started off with wanting to get into astrophysics, and I still follow what's happening with Hubble telescope and all of that, right? But I'll tell you what happened, honest, hand on heart, right? No fibbing. It was the turning point was I was doing this course called Methods of Mathematical Physics, which is like really tough, okay? And so after this 45-minute session where I somehow understood the Fourier transforms and all the formulas, I went back and I said, okay, took my notes. And 2 days later, we went for the next class, and the prof said, now I'm going to tell you how to disprove that theorem.
After all the learning you
So I said, so that's learning and unlearning back then. So at that point in time, I said, I can't touch and feel this, all of this which is going on. So I need to look at something which is, I can connect with more, right? So my dual degree was in management, and I specialized in marketing. And my first job wasn't in marketing, it was in sales.
Okay.
So I started my career with sales in HCL, right? And then it became HCL HP. And that was an incredible learning experience, because when you're in sales, you have the adrenaline rush, because we're in B2B sales. So we were selling computers at that point in time, computer, hardware, software, printer, all of that, to the enterprise companies in India. And it was a fantastic learning experience in terms of understanding your product, understanding your customers' needs, their requirements, how the two map, what is your value proposition, how do you fight your competition, and then, of course, meet your targets. And if you met your targets, incentives were handsome, and those days still are for salespeople. So that was fantastic. And so I had a segue into marketing through sales.
Got it. And sales happened because you wanted to do more. You wanted to be in a role where perhaps you had more recognition, or perhaps what you were doing had a direct impact, which was more at the front than at
It
the
was
back.
exciting. It was the front end. You were treated very well if you were good in sales, right? And the growth path was good. And
Which is why perhaps we also have a lot of engineers now even eventually wanting to do their MBA.
right.
Even
It's
this
possible.
year, we
Yes.
have a huge number of engineers saying, now I want to do my MBA, and we keep questioning it.
Yeah, it is possible to do that, and you would always be able to use the knowledge you have gained, what you have studied. It doesn't go to waste, because you apply those principles, you apply that knowledge in whichever job you are in. So from that perspective, it works well.
Got it. Sir, getting back to Tata Communication for a minute, for my audience. So we all here know about Tata Communication, right? What does it do? What I hear is 1/3, and correct me if I'm wrong, sir, 1/3 of all the data that flows in the world, from the US to Europe to India to Asia to Africa, goes through Tata Communication. How? Is it true? One, how does it happen? It's 1/3 of all we do on social media or even on the internet that goes through Tata Communication. Demystify this for us.
Okay, so let me tell you about the history of Tata Communications. Tata Communications is the erstwhile VSNL.
VSNL.
You remember
yes.
VSNL? VSNL. So the Tata Group acquired a majority stake in 2002,
Okay.
right? And then now the government has divested a couple of years ago entirely. So VSNL, for those of you,
The parents, perhaps.
parents
Yes.
will remember, used to be responsible for the international voice calling, so and local long distance calling, right? The local calling was with BSNL, which still exists, or MTNL, and long distance was through VSNL. And back in 94, 95, VSNL brought internet to India, right? Again, before everybody's time in this room, I guess, but it used to be a huge sum of 15,000 rupees in those days per month for 500 hours of internet through a dial-up modem,
Yes.
right, at a very slow speed, and you had to pay for the phone call as well to MTNL because you were dialing through them, right? Anyway, so after the Tata Group acquired and the Tata Communications was born, we went ahead and acquired many other businesses, especially around the downturn, during the dot-com bust.
Okay.
So we had a team that was very bold, and they went and acquired companies like Tyco, Teleglobe, which were global companies dealing with global voice, global data, and brought them into the fold. And thereafter, Tata Communications has been acquiring organizations regularly over the course of the last 20 years. Most recent was Kalera, which is a CCAS, CPAS organization that we integrated last year. Before that, it was The Switch, which is a media entertainment organization in the US. So multiple companies. So our original capabilities, which was international voice calling and then internet, actually has morphed into what we call now the digital fabric,
Okay.
right? So in the digital fabric, you have the network connectivity part, you have the cloud and security, you have the unified communications, UCAS, CCAS, CPAS, right? You have multiple solutions like this which we have stitched together, and that's why we call it a fabric, right? To give a uniform single view to the
customer.
user and the customer. Now coming back to the point that you made, yes, it is true, it's not the data, it's 1/3, about 34% of the world's internet routes.
Of the world's internet.
World's internet routes go through our network. We have the single largest privately owned cable around the world, right?
So how does this happen?
So
And
how does this happen?
I'm not an engineering student,
Okay.
professional
How it
myself.
happens is-
The cables under the sea.
Undersea cables are a big part of this.
Please
right?
explain this to them. They need to understand how internet moves.
Okay, how internet works. So for those of you who will have access to YouTube, we have a very old video on YouTube. It should be there, how the internet works with Tatacom, right? It's then on our YouTube handle. But I'll explain it to you in a couple of minutes. When you are on your PC, laptop, iPad, phone, and you're in a browser, and you go look for a certain website or a certain portal, that gets actually translated into a DNS, which is a domain name lookup. So, and that is an address, an IP address, which is a bunch of digits, which is owned uniquely by each server in the world. So every device has its unique IP address if it's hard-coded. So it has like a telephone directory kind of thing, and it looks up, and then it figures out where to go, in which country, which location, which city, where that, what you're searching for is located. So then it will go to that through the fastest path. And most of the data today in the world travels, international data travels through the undersea cable.
To the sea, yes.
Yeah. The fiber optic cables, which are shark proof, are under the cable, they're steel clad, right? And they are under they go across the Pacific and Atlantic, and They are under the sea and they go from country to country, from nation to nation, and the data travels through that at a blink of an eye, right? Then it accesses that server or the data center where your website or your web page or your video or your photo is, and it brings it back to your device and then creates the image or the audio video, whatever it is, on your device, right? So that's the whole journey that it takes, right?
And all of this in perhaps less than a second.
Yes, in milliseconds usually, right?
So our data is traveling the world through undersea cables in less than a second.
Yeah. So there are technologies which are used, like caching servers, which bring the, if this algorithm figures out that there is certain data that's being accessed very frequently by a certain region, it brings that data closer and stores it in a nearby server or a nearby data center, so you don't have to do that entire hop, right? That's called caching, CACH, yeah, caching. So caching servers is a technology which has been there for many years, so it brings the
so
data
tomorrow,
closer.
if there was a war tomorrow, and you would have answered this question 10 times earlier, one is nuclear, one is biochemical, one is missile, one is bomb. What if tomorrow actually these physical undersea cables were damaged or cut? What happens to us?
So
there's suddenly nothing.
it is something that is happening all the time, right? There are miscreants in certain countries who do this for fun. They go and
Damage a cable.
they damage cables, right? Sometimes it's an accident. So there is a ship with an anchor, drops anchor and unfortunately anchors on a cable and pulls the cable and breaks it. So cable breaks happen, right?
Okay.
But how the data is routed, and when it happens, you'll see a drop in the speed, and it typically does come out in the news, right? So some of these pirates, etc., who are, hijacking ships are also doing some of this wicked stuff. But we have a redundancy.
Okay.
Because it's a mesh. It's not a single cable. So there are multiple paths, the multiple cable routes which connect.
So if one falls, there's another one to back it up.
Then it uses an alternate path to take the data. It could become slower because it takes a longer route. So that's how it works. But if you ask me and say that if all the cables are gone, then what happens? Then you're disconnected.
Got it. So protecting these cables is also then.
So there are companies that actually have.
So is this responsibility, sir, with Tata? Is this a national responsibility, lies with the government or governments in this case? How does the legal angle? We also have lawyers, aspiring lawyers amongst us. Legally, how does this happen? Who do these cables belong to?
It varies from country to country because the rules and regulations differ. But at the end of the day, the service is provided by an organization to an enterprise or to an individual, right?
Okay.
So if you have a mobile connection from a certain service provider, your contract is with that service provider, right? And if that service provider doesn't have internet access, then you would obviously, be complaining to them, right? And they would have to fix it for you.
They would have to fix it back.
So the relationship and the responsibility lies with the service provider and the customer.
Okay.
To the customer.
Okay.
Right.
Great. Sir, I must ask you this early on. Students who are with us today will graduate in 3 or 4 years, depending on the program they've come in for. We hear about this tech downturn, AI coming in, taking away jobs. I personally have had so many students and so many parents come to me saying the students are now enrolling into an engineering program or even for an MBA or a BBA for that matter, but AI is going to take their job away. AI is going to let no job exist. I don't think it's going to happen, but your views.
So this is a big debate going on, right? And every day when you read the news, there's somebody saying that, AI is going to create new jobs, and somebody else saying, and they're very, very senior people, the leaders in the world in the corporate space and other areas, and maybe even academics. And some would say that, no, that's actually a lie. It's going to take away all the jobs, right? Now, the truth lies somewhere in between, right? There are some things that will get automated, right? So when I say things, I mean activities. Now it could be a job, right?
Okay.
Now, again, everybody over here is the Excel era, right? But I come from a time when we didn't have Excel. We started with Lotus 1, 2, 3 for those of you who remember, right? Okay. So we didn't have spreadsheets, okay? So there was no spreadsheets. We used to work with a calculator or a slide rule if you go back that time, right? And then this spreadsheet happened, okay? So that's a fantastic tool that allows you today to do so much more than what you would do with a paper and pen, right? So your ChatGPT or your Gemini or Perplexity are like the Excel sheets of
They're
AI.
meant to help you out.
They're there to help you out.
Meant
right?
to help you get faster.
Yeah, to help you get faster. Now, the downside of that is certain jobs, or you may not need so many people to get the output because now it's more efficient, it's more effective, and certain jobs will go away. Now, certain jobs have gone away. For example, if you go back more than now 100 years, if you say Cinderella, if you watched Walt Disney cartoons, right? Or the original Mickey Mouse, do you know how those movies were made? Each of those frames were hand painted.
Yes.
Right. And
They
then-
wouldn't.
Yes.
This generation wouldn't know.
And you wouldn't
They
know.
couldn't-
Please go and see each of those scenes, the moving scenes where Cinderella or the dwarf is moving around was hand painted, and then they were 24 frames per second. So there were 24 frames
They
which
were
were
clicked,
drawn, for
photographed,
every-
seamless.
Yeah, and then they were photographed, and you had a moving picture, right? Then you had CGI, and today you can create a video by just putting a prompt. So what happened to those artists?
Yeah.
What happened to that entire, it's evaporated. You don't need people to draw frames to make a cartoon movie anymore, or any movie, right?
So, but then isn't it also true that no matter how efficient or good this tech is, it is still drawing upon the art that already exists? And this art did not come from the machines, it's come from the artists. The imagination and the creativity that we see today, and the colors and the vibrance, has not come from tech, it's still come from the artist. The art is only, the tech is only fastening it, like speeding it up.
All right, so there are two ways of looking at it, right? One is you have a repository of art, you have a repository of music, right? Which has been generated by humans, right? And then you have this application or this tool or this AI, let's say this AI, which goes and studies that, understands it, and then if you query, it gives you like a search.
It references and
It
then comes back.
references and gives you the information. Sometimes it may mix and match and create something and give you information that is a mashup, right? That's one way of looking at it.
Sure.
But where AI is headed is the ability for it to generate original ideas, original art, original thought, not just looking. So there's a learning part, but once it has learned, it does not need to go back and reference and give you, hash up old data. It can create and generate new information, and that's the part that's coming up, right? There it is. So today you can have AI write you a song. You can have AI paint you a picture, right? And it's original. It's not something that's been hashed up in most cases, right? Some cases it may not be.
And thankfully, AI is still human enough.
Yeah. Now, will you like that song? Will you like that painting? I don't know, right? That's different, okay? But the fact is, it is getting there. It is getting there where it can think for itself.
As long as it's doing it so with a very good intent. I must give you this example of a young person I know in my own family. I think she's 19, 20, and she was going through a very rough path in her own life, was devoid of friends, stopped moving out for certain reasons. There was an addiction that she was fighting, and then she actually depended on ChatGPT to find a friend. And every single day, every hour, she was on ChatGPT saying, this is me, this is how I'm feeling, this is what I'm doing, this is what the other person did, this is how today was, can you forecast? Can you tell me what I should do? Can you help me out? And she did this for 6 months and she's actually out of depression and she's back to what she was doing. You know, the good parts are AI was still human enough. At no point did AI tell her something which was negative, which was about going down deeper into the pit. AI at every single message told her, I'm here. Listen to me. This is what's happening. Aren't you still positive? From what I read, from what you're telling me, today was a great day. Tomorrow is going to be better. You know, your astrology looks better. Your sun looks better. Your sunshine looks better. So AI is still human in doing that. I personally feel that this intent of AI, because it was done, it was built by us humans, will always be positive. And isn't that a great thing, sir?
It is, and I agree and also disagree with, with what you have said. Reason being, so firstly, is AI going to harm humanity, etc.? Now, it all depends how it is coded, right? At the end of the day, it's coding, okay? And if you go back to Isaac Asimov's 3 laws of robotics, go and research that and figure it out, which says that you will not harm the human, which he had written back in the 60s. And you follow that for AI, then it's a safe path, right? The example that you gave is very uplifting, very heartening, and good to hear that. And AI has actually, in that case, played the role of a psychologist in a way, right? And supported. And can it do that? It can. There are societies like, say, in Japan, where for many years you have the very cute robots, which are, which can talk and move around, which are providing company to the elderly, because there's nobody for them. So they've been there for years now. It's not something brand new. So is it possible that you can have an emotional connect with a machine? Yes, it is. Okay, and
movies about it. I mean, that's what we're
possible.
seeing now.
It's possible.
People are in love with a robot.
And this is where I disagree. Is it healthy? Right? I think when we have so many humans around us, right?
Yeah, there's your answer.
We should be able to connect with each other as well, right? And not just go into the cyber world and live a life which is completely
virtual.
Digital and virtual. Although what has been happening is with the newer generations, and I know I'm speaking to the newer generation here, for many, cyber is or the digital is reality, right? In the sense that is as real as being in a room full of real people.
But it's not. The day you put this person in a room full of people.
For you and I, it may not be. For you and I, it may not be. But I'm saying there is a generation for which it is. You have to walk in their shoes, right? For them, that's the reality, right? But all said and done, replacing humans with machines is not the best thing.
It's not the right thing. Yeah,
right? In these cases, right? So, if you're putting a robot on a shop floor, or you're doing something which automation is required, absolutely, right? But for human company, I think we still need humans.
We still need humans. I'm absolutely with you, sir. Yeah. So tell us about graduating in 3 years, 4 years. Tell us about jobs. What kind of jobs should now they expect?
So I think there is nobody who can predict what jobs will ultimately stay and go.
We have students and parents asking us today, even before the student enrolls, saying 3 years down the line, where will my son or my daughter graduate? What ROI? What salary? What will she be doing? And honestly, I don't have an answer, because technology is changing every single day. You are engineering and management students.
So there are new areas that are opening up. For example, prompt engineering was something which was very big, right? Still is, right? How do you actually access the information from a generative AI or from AI in the most effective manner, right? That's prompt. How do you write the prompts, right? And prompts are not just single sentences, they could run into pages, right? So that's one area. Drone pilots was another area that had come up, right? So there are jobs which are coming up, which are brand new, which we may not be able to forecast right now. But then there are the ones that are going away, right? For example, Waymo is now autonomous cabs in California, right? Through Google.
Yeah.
Okay? So you jump into a car, there's no driver, and it takes you where you want to go, right? Brilliant. So what happened to the Uber driver or our Ola driver? That job's gone. It'll go by itself. Okay? So now there is an ethical, moral, should we, shouldn't we, but net at the end of the day, if a technology is available that does the work at a lower price, you can rest assured that the businesses will deploy that. Right? Because why would they provide a service at a higher cost? Right? They would want to provide a service at the lowest cost at the best possible way, because that's where they
So, but
get more
isn't
volume.
this a very scary reality or a scary future? On one end.
No, I wouldn't be scared because, sorry, complete.
So just allow me to finish this up. We have a population that's only increasing in the number of students, and the number of people in the world, at a very principal level, are actually going up. These people need occupation, need employment, need money, need food, need to grow, need economic stability, security. On the other end, absolute other end, we have technology, which is distilling all of what exists, concentrating it, and also bringing it down, perhaps 1x of what existed. So while our populations and the number of people in us, we're growing, as a people, as a species, tech is actually bringing down the number of opportunities. Isn't it just going to make it tougher? I mean, what happens 20 years, 30 years down?
So here is my take on this. If we fight tech, if we try to compete with tech, then it's a losing battle. We have to actually adopt tech, right? And use tech, and that is the winning formula. So for example, let's take another area which we haven't touched upon. We talked about lawyers. Let's talk about doctors, right? Today, try it out. You can go and, take a photograph of, say if you have a pimple on your skin, and put it into your phone and circle to search, and you'll find what it is and what likely to be, and what medication or cream you should put on it to cure it, right? So do you need a doctor? So now the answer is yes, you still do, because this may not be correct in many cases, but should the doctor be afraid of that? No, the doctor should or could use that as additional information, as a co-pilot, right, to diagnose, so that they are able to then have a better diagnosis by leveraging the data and the machine that is available, right? But it's not about replacing the doctor with a computer, right? But some people will say, why should I go? Because I know what it is. Okay.
Yes.
So that's one area, right? So if we use this, like the example of Excel I gave as a spreadsheet, right? If we use technology to make us more effective, make us more efficient, make us more productive, right? Whatever other verbs you want to use, and make us be able to deliver more value, you will do much better, right?
Sure.
With lesser effort, okay?
Sure.
But if we go head on with it, that's an issue, right?
Can't fight it, work with
No.
it.
Work with it, and learn it, embrace it, leverage it. It's not perfect. Most of these techs hallucinate, right? They come up with junk output many times, and they will continue to do that, okay? So do humans. We make mistakes. We are not perfect all the time, right? So they're also not, the machine is not perfect all the time either, right? So be aware of that. But the fact is, use it, leverage it, make yourself more productive, efficient, effective with that.
Sure.
And that's how you will succeed, because it's not us and them.
Got it. So unrelated question, but very pertinent to our audience. We're very proud to be one of the only universities in all of Haryana with a very high number of girl students joining us. In fact, I see a lot of girl students today. Guys, hands up. All the girls, can we just see how many girls do we have in this session with us? I'm guessing, sir, that's a good 70%, at least a 70% today in this session.
Wonderful. Congratulations to the institute.
Jobs for girls. How do these roles need to evolve? Because let's face it, while we're still saying in the media and on social media and in the newspaper that everything is equal, within our own house and our own families, given the responsibilities and given the pressures, we know it's not, right? What we see out in the media is different, but what's actually happening in the houses within the families is very different. Your take on this, on how girls should evolve and how Tata, for example, is dealing with this?
I don't see any job that,
Cannot be done by a girl.
cannot be done by a girl. So from that perspective, I don't agree on that front at all, right? But the fact is that what you're talking about is some of the, maybe the social stigmas or the way we are set up in our own personal lives, right? Now that we will have to overcome, right, ourselves. And that's not something, so we will have to make sure that we are doing the right thing and not falling prey to, somebody will say something, right, about a specific role if somebody is doing a specific role, right? So I was very pleasantly surprised one of the times I came to the New Delhi airport to have a cab pick me up, which had a lady driver.
It was a lady driver, yeah.
Yeah, okay, and we had a good chat, and she's enjoying that job, right? It's not that she was forced to do it or something. She wants to do it, and she's enjoying it, right? And drove me home brilliantly. There's no thing. So that's why I'm saying there is no job that is
Cannot be done
possible.
by a woman.
But the fact is that one has to prepare, right? In the sense that you have to go through the full cycle of training and enablement to be able to do the task at hand, right? Now, from the Tata Group, of course, diversity, equity, inclusion, these are things that are ingrained into the organization, right? So from that perspective, there are, starting from the hiring through, so CVs, right? The CVs that are given through hiring, through training, through the whole career cycle is something that we are closely, supporting and driving, right? But there could be some aha moments, right? So I was at a factory, nothing to do with Tata Communications, but it was a manufacturing setup, and they were having women employees, right? But to make sure that the basics of having washrooms, right?
Hygiene.
In a normal factory environment, now you have to think differently. That factory manager has to make sure that starting from that, he has to build the infrastructure
Agreed.
to support, right?
Agreed.
So I have seen that, right, in a manufacturing setup where I was visiting, how they have done it. And they said, we never had this before, right? So that detailing to make sure that we make it seamless, we make it, right?
So it has to be beyond lip service, saying we're equal, but
yes.
actually building infrastructure to make sure that women are comfortable.
Yes.
And that they can get their best.
Absolutely, and safety.
And safely.
Yeah.
I think safely comes first, and then comes the comfort.
Yeah. So those are the things that have to be looked at, and it's not just, okay, let's start hiring women and they will come into the workforce. You have to prepare for it as well.
We see, thankfully, we see corporates and organizations
Absolutely.
moving towards it.
Absolutely.
It's an upswing. We have the government, now also pushing for that. The whole Republic Day parade this time, I think it was a very positive and a very strong message for the country. So it's moving in the right direction. So also, one last question, and then we can maybe open it for the audience. You yourself have been, though an engineer, you started as a science student. You're a marketer, you're a communications person. Take a minute to tell us and the audience the importance of personal communication, executive presence, why it matters to build your own brand, why it matters that your own communication as a person is right and on point. How has this benefited you, and why is it important?
So everyone has their own style. So from that perspective, I wouldn't impress upon anyone to change who they are, right? Because what you bring is your own individual personality, which makes you stand out. Your uniqueness is like your IP address,
Sure,
right?
sure.
Okay? So don't say that I'm going to become someone else, because then that won't work, right? That to a certain extent it might, it may not. But can you be a better you?
Yeah.
Yes, you can, right? So how do you do that? I think first thing is to be able to bring value into any conversation that you're having. Now, to bring value into any conversation, I'm putting a little bit of a business spin on this,
Please.
right? Now, to bring value, you have to really understand what the other person is saying, right?
We don't listen.
We don't listen.
I promise you, we don't listen.
We go with our own agenda, right? We pretend to listen, we hear, but we don't listen, and then we push in our agenda, right? So if we are there, if we are genuine, authentic, right, and care about that relationship, then you will bring value. And if you do that, then that person or people will remember you, right? And they will value you. And that's how you will build a relationship. And it doesn't have to be just at home, right? It can be a random person you meet. They've been, when I was working in the US, I remember I was rushing for a meeting, and I was in this elevator, and those days wear ties, right? And my tie, I was having problem with the tie, and the person in the elevator said, "Hey, let me help you. You seem to be in a rush," right? And now over here you say, "Oh, they're invading my space," right? Helping me tie my tie, okay? But that's fantastic, because by the time I got off the elevator, my tie was perfect, and I didn't have to look in the mirror because somebody helped me, right? So these are genuine acts of kindness, right? And I didn't ask for it, okay? So that's what I'm saying, that if we are there not just looking for our own interests, but genuinely care for the person or people who we are engaging with or engaged with, you will bring value, and then you will be valued.
Absolutely. So I think that's where it originates from.
Yes.
And it must.
Yes. So it's not about copying or trying to be someone else.
You
It's
can't
about
learn. I mean, it's your own self.
It's about being yourself and bringing value into every relationship.
So on the example of the tie, and I'm leave for the audience. So this is 2009. I was working with an airline. My first job, Virgin Atlantic. My first flight, international, upper class, upgraded because I was staff. Had a lot of champagne on the way. Did not know what champagne means. Landed in London, dehydrated. Checked into the hotel later on. But what happened at the airport? Something I must. We're losing this. So I got out of the flight at the Heathrow airport, and we had to take a bus to the hotel in Crawley, right? I'm a 19-year-old Indian young professional, first flight, first international flight. Get out of the airport, there's a counter for the bus ticket. I walk in, there's a gentleman standing ahead of me, a foreigner, and I go stand right behind him. So here's a gentleman, and here is me. He actually turned around. He said, "Sir, 1 arm distance. Could you move away?" I took offense, but then later I understood. Even if I had let that 2 feet be between us, it was okay. In India, if I let that 2 feet between us exist, 20 other people are going to jump the line and stand between us. And that, I think, also is the difference in cultures. And perhaps that's how global communication, global cultures and the understanding needs to come in. So I was offended for a minute, but then I really realized, I said, "Listen, Chirag, you're at fault. Back out." So, yes, absolutely, sir.
Great example.
I think we must now open up questions from our audience. Any questions? Sir's here, he's not coming back. Could be about technical, could be about careers, could be about profession, guidance, softwares, jobs, happening or not happening.
If you could use a mic, that would be great.
Yes. Please.
Good morning, sir. My name is Jason. I'm a first year student here doing BCA, game development. So, sir, since you are from Tata Communications, I think you're the right person to ask this question. So I wanted to know what's like the scope and possibilities at Tata Communications for students like us pursuing courses like BCA and BTech and the technology aspect.
Bang on, sir. Very pointed question.
Okay, very pointed question. So typically what we have been doing so far is we have two in Tata Communications. One is where we hire experienced folks who come in with an experience in a specific domain, right? It could be networking, it could be in security, cybersecurity, and so on and so forth. So that's one track. The other track is when we bring in freshers who have no experience, right? And then we rotate them through multiple jobs within the organization through the different divisions that we have, right? And that is where they gain their experiences, almost like an OJT, right? So from that perspective, if there is a specific domain and a specific experience that one has, there is one track. If one person is coming in as a fresher, then time to time we do freshers who come in and then they learn and they then get associated with a specific track. So this is how it works at TATACom. Different Tata companies in the group have different ways of looking at it, right? So if you look at IHCL, which is the Taj group, they will have one way. Tata Steel will have another way. Tata Motors will have a different way. TCS will be mostly towards, technology-oriented hires, right? So each company has a different view they look at.
Thank you, sir.
You're welcome.
You have more questions?
Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
I am Keshav Pundir. So my question is to you is that we talk enough about jobs, will AI take our job or not? But what I want to ask you is that what are the behavior traits, the character traits, or what we can put in our personality that make us future-proof or excellence-proof?
You have to future-proof yourself by finding your calling. What is your niche, right? What is your expertise area where you can monetize? At the end of the day, you need to monetize your skill set, right?
Sir, apart from that, but there are certain traits that we should have in our personality so that we can excel in particular niche. So what are those? What do you think?
You have to have passion in whatever you do, right? Whatever you choose cannot be, I'll do it because it's something good to do. I will do it because I believe in it. I will do it because I'll invest time in it. I'll become the best there is in that, right? Or as much as you can, right? So that's the passion. You need to bring in passion. You need to bring in the enthusiasm and dedication to really excel in the path that you choose. And if you excel in that path, you will do well, right?
Basically, what you're saying is we need the drive for the thing.
Drive, of course. If
I
you
think
don't have
so.
the drive, you
Clear,
don't
strong, and stubborn.
Yeah.
As long as you're very stubborn about what you want to do, you will get it.
and you have to be good at it, right? So for example, in the mornings when I have time, if I go to our condominium gym, I see that the instructors, right, the trainers, and training my neighbors and stuff, and they are so passionate, full of energy at 6 a.m. in the morning, or the tennis instructor or the squash instructor who comes, right? So they have chosen that as their life path and doing very well and making other people more healthy and health conscious and all of that, making me conscious of my unhealthiness. But the fact is that I see the drive, the passion, their knowledge, do this, don't do that, you'll hurt yourself, this is how you will improve.
They're still doing it. It's a duty to them. It's a duty of service.
I just took a random example because that's what I saw this morning, right? So I see that, and that's why people pay for them and say, okay, I can look at a YouTube video of how to do weights and then follow that. Right? Why am I getting an instructor? It's because they're bringing that energy, they're charging me up, right? They're telling me what to do standing in front of me and making me a better person. So yeah, so I just took a random example.
This is the stubbornness and the drive. What about finding opportunities? There are two types of people. One who find opportunities, and the another one, the opportunity find the people. So what do you think about that? How to become that person that opportunity finds?
Okay.
Tough one.
So I won't tell you a lie. There are some people who are genuinely lucky. Okay? It is, right? And opportunity finds them, right? It happens. And then there are some who have to really work hard to find the opportunity, right? But the thing is that, is there a way to be noticed, right? You need to be noticed. You need to get the message out there about what you do, whatever field you're in, right? Now, are you going to use social media, LinkedIn? Is your campaign, personal campaign, going to
Working,
become
yeah.
viral? There are many things that may or may not, right? Organic, through your channels, to the people you know and who believe in you. It has to be a combination of all of that. You have to be good at what you are doing, and you have to get noticed. When that happens, then people will bring opportunities to you, right? If you're very good and you're quiet about it and you just sit and expect somebody to come and
Not happening.
ask you, that's not going to happen, because nobody will know about you, right? So that's the thing. It's about being able to, for the want of a better word, promote yourself. And he's an expert.
build your
right?
own brand.
Chirag is an expert in that area. He understands branding and marketing. He's doing this for the institute, right? So it's about being able to promote yourself, right? And that opportunity will be there in abundance.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, thank you, sir.
I see VC ma'am here with a mic. Thank you.
So I would like to thank Amit Sinha ji for taking time out of his busy schedule
Thank you,
and
ma'am.
being with us. I have a question with you as a head of the institution. We were running program in electronics and communication engineering. And since you come from Tata Communications, you would know how important it is to have ECE, electronics and communication engineering students and engineers in your team. And I'm myself a ECE electronics graduate from IIT Roorkee. So I know how important it is to study these nuances of communication. So what is the percentage of people you hire with electronics and communication engineering background?
I offhand will not have that. I will not be able to, but it depends on the job area. If we are looking at our networking business, which is technology intensive, where we have our network operations centers and the capabilities around that, I would say it would be a minimum that would be required, right? But if we are looking at other areas which are adjacent functions, which are not so technology, then it would not matter. But in specific areas, it would be mandated. So if it's a networking or a technology engineering area, it would be mandated, absolutely.
Because these days students are chasing only computer science and engineering. And we feel really very sad that, it is electronics engineering which started computer science. So it is a big hype in the market.
Look at what's happening now. Let me not talk just about Tata Communications. If you look at what Tata Electronics is doing, right? We are setting up the fab plants to make chips, right, in India, right? And so are other companies. Now, you don't need a computer scientist there. You need an electronics graduate there, because they need to be working with the wafers and to be making the chips and the semiconductors, right? You need semiconductor engineering there, not computer science. There's nothing wrong with computer science. Computer science is a fantastic subject, right? And it has its own place. But what you're saying is where now this whole aspect of bringing the manufacturing into India, right? I was reading the other day in the news, I don't know how true or false it is, that in one of the Apple fabrication plants, China has pulled back their people, right? Their expertise. And I'm thinking, why do we need to rely on them to help us, make iPhones? Why can't we do it ourselves?
We're
right?
doing that, sir. We're doing
So
that.
that's
Yeah,
electronics.
fortunately, we have introduced a new BTech program in semiconductor design and technology.
Fabulous.
It's with
And-
IIT Mandi, sir.
IIT Mandi is helping us out.
Lovely.
And we have good number of enrollments to start with. So semiconductor and electronics is really going to be the future.
It is the future.
Because so many fabrication units are now being set up, packaging, fabrication units being set up in the entire country. Thank you so much.
That's where we will bring value to the nation as well.
Thank you, ma'am, sir. Question there. The mic is working. I think we can hear the hum.
Hello.
Yes, we can hear you.
Good morning, sir, first of all. Well, you caught my attention where you told about that you come from a background where, you were like very enthusiastic about astrology and all that stuff. So, I wanted to ask you that what was your main turning point that you changed your field in like business and marketing from there? Because I come from a, background where I had interest personally in that field. So, I searched a lot of colleges for aerospace engineering specifically, but I didn't found any kind of major scope in this field. At last, you have to feed your family, need a good salary for that in job. So at last, I ended up in taking admission in this university, choosing BTech. I find it appropriate for that. So I wanted to ask you, what was the turning point, and what are the pros and cons you see in that kind of field?
So, astronomy was what I was interested in, not logic. So,
Sorry.
one has to actually be able to bifurcate between hobbies and interests, right? So, music is a big interest and hobby also for me, and I dabble around in playing some instruments, and
Which instruments, sir?
guitar. So I used to, no time now, but college days, school days, represented my college and school fests and all of that. So, and I do go for, there is this group in Gurgaon that gets together of like-minded folks who play jam music once a month. But the thing is that, could I turn that into my career? No, I'm not really good. I love it, right? But I'm not good enough. I don't think I am good enough to become a musician and be able to support myself, right? So that's one aspect of it. But do I enjoy it? Do I spend time on it? Do I listen to music, new artists, old favorite artists, all of that? Yes, right? Now, so for me, astronomy, I later realized and I still follow it, like I mentioned earlier, the Hubble telescope and all of that. And it's always tagged what's happening at the edges of the universe and all that. Very interesting, right? But the fact is that at some point I realized that is not something I will be able to, for the want of a better word, monetize, right? So I have to then look at what are the things that I can do which interest me, right? It's not that it's totally, I don't care about it, because then I'll not be able to contribute, right? What are the areas that are of interest where I can work and earn a living, and then of course be able to fund my hobbies and my other interests which are there, right? So if you're doing BTech, that's a fantastic area, right?
Yes, sir.
And gives you tremendous opportunities to find careers, right? Where you can get your focus and drive your career through, right? So absolutely double down and focus on that, right? And your interests and hobbies which are there,
Build them as passion projects.
Photography is something I love, right? So I've got so many cameras, I've lost count of them. Never threw them off. And I love that. But again, can I become a professional photographer or a fashion photographer? And I went, no, I don't think I can do that. I know that. But can I take good wildlife photographs? Yes, I can. I was in Sri Lanka some time back, beautiful photos of elephants and all of that. Enjoy that, right? So enjoy your hobbies and really, persevere.
I think build an occupation so you can afford your hobbies.
Yeah. Build your occupation which is of interest. It shouldn't be something that is totally not of interest. But dedicate yourself to that wholeheartedly. Develop yourself in that area and become good at it.
That's what I concluded, sir, because, I joined this institution and this course specifically because I thought that I will be working in ISRO someday as an BTech CSE student, like in a appropriate that field. But still, it was very, it fascinated me a lot.
Fantastic.
Yes. So, and one thing more that fascinated me a lot is like jet engines and all. That's why I was going to enroll in aerospace engineering. But do you think we are very, in a backlog, our country, in these kind of things like aerospace engineering and astronomy and these kind of things, it's very hard to get enrolled, and after all you have to earn. That is a
Is where we need to invest, and we have taken as a nation, and we, from what I read and what I know, we are taking cognizance. So semiconductors is an area which has come up recently. Till some time back, we were not looking at that space seriously, and now we have invested. Jet propulsion engines is another area we know, because we don't have the capability to build an engine,
Yes,
or build an engine in the
the
country.
cryogenic one which was
Yeah.
imported from Russia.
Yeah, so I'm sure that will also get prioritized at some point in time, and then there will be a requirement for that. So these are future, possibilities and capabilities that we will need as a nation in order to progress, and I'm sure the investments will come.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. I think very intelligent question, guys. Big round of hand for him.
Thank you.
Thank you. So maybe we can have two more questions and then we'll wind up with a closing note yourself. So the mic's free. There's one hand here.
Excuse me, sir. My name is Vipul. And can I please get to know that why is TCS firing 25,000 employees?
I cannot answer that, because that is a business decision that TCS has taken, and they have talked about it in terms as much as they could say. In terms of, I think they mentioned 2% is what they've officially said in the news. There must be a business reason for that, right? But I'm not a spokesperson for TCS, so I cannot comment on that.
Okay, sir.
Fair answer.
So, sir, are they firing because they don't have enough skills for the job, or automation?
I don't know. I really don't know. For TCS, I don't know.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Maybe a last question here.
Good morning, sir. My name's Tejas. And while you were talking about job opportunities, whether it be for aerospace or whether it be for engineering in general, semiconductors. So I wanted to know, as a management student myself, what are the opportunities that you can see right now, or that will be possibly coming in the future, that I could take advantage of as a management student? Because I noticed that even though you actually have an MSc degree from BITS, you have actually been in marketing for most of your career.
I have an MMS degree as well, right? So that's what pushed me to marketing. One thing you can do, and I didn't do enough of, is help, or I'm not saying you should get into it, but being able to help folks who are starting their careers to do financial planning for themselves is something we don't see enough of in this country, right? And now people are talking about it, right? I'm not saying you take it up as a career opportunity, but this is an area which I am seeing now that folks don't pay any attention to. How do you make yourself financially fit so that you are able to enjoy life in the later part of your career, rather than just focus on, it's important to enjoy here and now. I'm not saying don't enjoy here and now, but then being able to have that capability to, maybe some people want to retire early, maybe some people want to go and do something else, sail around the world, whatever it is, right? So that is, a specific area where I don't see enough of focus, right? So those of you who think, you want to look at that as a career calling or something, you could look at that, right? Because then you really help people to manage their investments, basically help them get financial freedom, right? That's one. The other part is about personal fitness, right? Health, fitness. There is lots that we can do for ourselves and for our community so that everybody enjoys a life of good health, and not just a long life, but a life that is healthy and lived well. So these are the softer aspects which are there, which one needs to look at, right? Beyond the obvious, which is I'm going to do a management degree and I'm going to a specific organization and I'm going to go through an internship and learn and then get into whatever it is, whichever area you're getting into, right? So look at the adjacencies as well, right? Not just the obvious straight path, right? There are many adjacencies which are perhaps not defined very clearly, in the beginning. But if you are able to find, an adjacency where you can add value, you can pick that up as well, right? Did I answer your question or I didn't?
Somewhat. I mean, you did give us, you did tell me about the opportunities, so thank you for that.
I just gave a random opportunity. Yeah? There are many, the thousands.
Yes,
Yeah.
I'll look into it. But I have another question, since I had just stated that, you have spent most of your career within marketing. When it comes down to management, a lot of people, they usually do go for marketing. It's, I would say, no offense, it's easier to get into. So
It's not.
I apologize, but many of the people in my family have been in marketing. But so I had this question from you. Obviously now you're the global head of strategic alliances. But what did you do to really stand out? As you were saying that one should stand out, promote themselves. So how did you do that in order to progress in your career?
Okay, so when I was in sales, I talked about what we used to sell, the computers, etc. I became really good at understanding the technology, so much so that I was at par with the installation and support engineers in terms of my knowledge of the machines that we sold and installed and delivered, right? I was valued by my customers, so much so that when one of my accounts, and I can name it now, was Nestle, and the CIO at that time, Ashok Wahi, I remember, said that if we are buying systems from this company and they're getting installed, wherever they're getting installed, Amit has to be there. Now, as a sales guy, I was the installation engineer, right? So I've been to Nestle's factory in Moga, middle of Punjab, right? Because the machine was being installed, and he wanted me there because he said, you are the person who understands our systems and how your computers work with our system, and I want you there, right? If you're not there, then it's not going to happen. So based on that knowledge that I built, I actually went from sales into product management, right? We used to manufacture those computers here in Noida at that time, through HCL Hewlett Packard, which was a joint venture. And I was doing product management for that for about 2.5, 3 years. We were running a $20-30 million business in those days. And I learned everything there was about product management, right? And then I went into product marketing. Because once you understand the product, its value proposition, what are the differentiators against competitors in those days who were there, then you are able to market the product, right? You have to understand your offering, and then you can create the value proposition. Then I went into product marketing. From product marketing, I went into full-fledged marketing, right? So it wasn't that from sales I jumped into marketing, right? From sales, I took a technical route, understood the technology, went into managing the product line for 3 years, understood the product line. Then I went into product marketing, and then I went into the general marketing, right? So that was my journey. So
I think so. The answer is dive deep into
you got to get into, and since we are talking about this, let me give you an example of the level of detailing that was required, right? So we used to sell these, we used to manufacture and sell the mini computers, right? Not the mainframes, but the mid-range, right? And for that, you had thousands of components in every computer, right? So you have the hard disk, the CPU, the controllers, all of that, right? We had to provide a 12-month rolling forecast for the components, otherwise you wouldn't get supply. Which means, sitting today in August of 2025, I had to give a forecast for July of 2026 to the factory, which was in Germany. What are the components that I'm going to buy? Can you imagine doing that? Right? So we had to do that, and now the added complexity was technology was changing. What I have in August of 2025 would be replaced by something different, maybe better in July 2026. So they would give me the roadmap. So then I had to also figure out what is the product transition that is going to happen, and then forecast based on that. And if you got your forecast wrong, you'd either get the wrong machines or you won't get anything at all, right? So that's the level of understanding and capability that you need to build to become a product manager, right? So I just gave you one example. There's many more. There's pricing and there's a whole lot of other things, right?
Sure.
But that's just on forecasting, right?
Okay, thank you, sir.
Thank you. Sir, I can't say thank you enough. A big round of
You're
applause for Mr. for taking out his time today. So thank you.
Thank you for having me here.
What an inspiring and truly unforgettable session this has been. Thank you, sir, for taking us beyond strategies and titles into a world where strength isn't just about what we do, but about who we are and how we choose to grow. A warm thank you to Chirag sir as well for steering this conversation with such clarity and depth. It's an absolute honor of hosting this morning masterclass on behalf of the North Cap University. Thank you for being part of this masterclass. Now I request all the dignitaries to come to the photograph.
Thank you, Mihu. And before we finish, VC ma'am, thank you again for joining us. I think we must have a big round of applause for Mr. Vikas Narula. Today is our final, this is the finale masterclass, and we've had many of them this season, and so they've all went wonderful. So it's all your effort. Thank you for doing this for us.